The barking started 3 days ago. Same time every morning. Same desperate, angry sound that made your skin crawl. The old Miller house sat at the edge of Riverside, windows broken, doors sealed shut, a place everyone avoided. But the dog wouldn't leave. It stood there, barking at those cracked walls like it was trying to wake the dead. Sarah Miller stopped on her morning walk to work, her coffee cup halfway to her lips. The golden retriever's eyes weren't playful. They were urgent, terrified, begging someone to listen. The other townspeople hurried past, covering their ears, shaking their heads. "Just a stray," they muttered. "Dogs bark. That's what they do." But Sarah heard something different that morning. Between the barks, between the desperate howls, she heard something else. Something that made her blood run cold. A voice. Faint, broken, human. "Help me." What Sarah discovered next would expose a dark secret that had been hiding in Riverside for years. A secret that would save lives and reveal that sometimes the most important warnings don't come from human voices. Hello, welcome to African Moonlight Tales. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friends, and most important thing, turn your notification bell so you can get informed when I dropped another amazing story. Drop your thoughts and reactions in the comments. What would you do if your spouse tried to kill you and you survive? Will you take a revenge or disappear forever? Sarah Miller's alarm went off at 5:30 a.m., same as every weekday morning. She worked at Riverside Public Library, a small brick building on Main Street where Mrs. Patterson, the head librarian, kept strict hours. Being late meant disapproving looks over reading glasses and a lecture about responsibility. The morning air in Riverside was crisp, carrying the smell of pine trees and fresh dew. Sarah walked the same route every day, past the corner store, past the community center, past the old Miller house. No relation to her, despite sharing the last name. That house had been abandoned for nearly a decade, ever since old Mrs. Miller died alone inside. The stories about the house were typical small-town folklore. Lights that flickered at night. Shadows that moved in empty rooms. The kind of stories parents told to keep curious children away from dangerous, rotting structures. Sarah never paid much attention to those stories. Until the dog appeared. 3 days ago, a golden retriever showed up at the house. No collar, no tags, matted fur suggesting it had been on its own for a while. It just sat there, staring at the house, occasionally barking. By day 2, the barking intensified. By day 3, it was constant. This morning, though, something was different. Sarah slowed her pace as she approached. The dog stood rigid, front legs stiff, ears pointed up like radar dishes. Its bark wasn't the usual random noise. There was a pattern to it. Urgent. Desperate. Like an alarm that refused to be ignored. "Hey there," Sarah said softly, approaching slowly. "What's wrong?" The dog turned to look at her. For one brief moment it stopped barking. In that silence, Sarah's heart skipped a beat. The quiet felt wrong, loaded with meaning she couldn't quite grasp. Then the dog barked once. Sharp. Direct. Almost like a command. "Come here. Look." Sarah's mouth went dry. She should keep walking. Mrs. Patterson hated excuses. But her feet wouldn't move. Instead, they carried her closer to the house. The old Miller house looked worse up close. Brown paint peeled in long strips. The porch sagged in the middle like a broken spine. Tall grass and weeds surrounded it like prison bars. The front windows were boarded up, but one side window still had broken glass clinging to its frame. The dog barked again, this time at that specific window. Sarah's pulse quickened. She took another step forward, then another. The morning was still quiet. A few cars passed on the main road a block away, but no one walked the street. No one ever walked the street. "What are you trying to tell me?" Sarah whispered. The dog barked twice, paced in a small circle, then barked at the window again. Sarah moved closer to the window. The glass was mostly gone, leaving an empty frame surrounded by jagged edges. She leaned in slightly, listening. Wind rustled through trees. A bird called in the distance. And then, a breath. So faint she thought she imagined it. Sarah froze. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She leaned closer, turning her head so her ear faced the window opening. The old wood smelled of rot and moisture. She held her breath. Then she heard it. A whisper, weak and broken. "Help me." Sarah's eyes widened. Her hand flew to her mouth, stifling a gasp. She listened again, barely breathing. "Please." The voice came again, thin as paper. "Help." A person. A living person was inside that house. Sarah stumbled backward, her mind racing. Was this a trick? A trap? But the voice sounded real, painful, like someone who had been crying until no tears remained. She looked at the dog. It stood perfectly still now, watching her with those intense eyes. Waiting. Sarah's throat tightened. She had to do something. She had to tell someone. She opened her mouth and screamed. "Somebody's inside. There's someone in the house. Help. Please, somebody help." Her voice cracked with urgency, carrying down the empty street. The dog barked louder, as if celebrating that someone finally understood. Within seconds, curtains twitched in nearby houses. A man loading his truck stopped. A woman watering her garden dropped her hose. They stared, confused, then concerned. "What's happening?" someone called. "There's a person inside this house," Sarah shouted, pointing with shaking fingers. I heard her voice. "She's calling for help." The peaceful morning in Riverside shattered like glass. And everything was about to change. People appeared from everywhere, like the street had been holding them in reserve. Old Mr. Chen from the hardware store came running in his slippers. The Johnson twins, who worked construction, jogged over with curious expressions. Mrs. Garcia, still in her bathrobe, clutched her phone. "Sarah, what's going on?" Mrs. Garcia asked, her voice tight with concern. "I heard someone inside," Sarah said, her words tumbling out fast. "A woman. She's asking for help. The dog's been trying to tell us for 3 days." The crowd murmured, a wave of disbelief and fear washing over them. "Inside that house?" Mr. Chen asked, as if the building itself offended him. "That place has been empty for years." "I know what I heard," Sarah insisted. "Please, we have to get in there." The dog barked again, sharp and insistent, as if backing up her claim. Marcus Webb pushed through the crowd. At 32, he was Riverside's volunteer fire chief and the person everyone called when things went wrong. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a serious face that rarely smiled, he commanded instant respect. "Everyone step back," Marcus ordered. His voice carried authority. The crowd parted immediately. Marcus approached the front door of the house. The wood was swollen, warped from years of rain and neglect. He grabbed the handle and pulled. Nothing. He pulled harder, muscles straining. Still nothing. "Door stuck solid," he announced, jaw tightening. Someone in the crowd laughed nervously, the kind of laugh people make when they're scared but don't want to admit it. Marcus stepped back, assessing. "Give me space," he warned. Sarah's heart pounded so loud, she could hear it in her ears. She watched as Marcus lifted his leg and kicked the door hard. Boom. The sound echoed like thunder. Dust fell from the doorframe. The door didn't budge. Marcus kicked again. Boom. The wood groaned, protesting. A third kick. Boom. The door burst inward with a crack, swinging on broken hinges. The crowd gasped as one, a collective intake of breath. A smell rushed out, hitting them like a wall. Stale air, dust, something sour and wrong. Sarah covered her nose, fighting the urge to gag. Marcus pulled out his phone's flashlight and shone it inside. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing dust particles floating in the air like tiny ghosts. Then they saw her. A shape on the floor. A person. A woman, thin and filthy, lying in the corner like discarded trash. Her hands were bound behind her back with rope. Her ankles were tied together. A cloth gag hung loosely around her neck, soaked with saliva and tears. Her hair was matted and tangled. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. Her eyes were half open, struggling to focus. For 3 heartbeats, nobody moved. Even the dog stopped barking. Then the woman's lips moved. A sound escaped, barely audible. "Please." Sarah felt tears spring to her eyes. The woman tried to lift her head. It fell back down weakly. I'm, she breathed. I'm so thirsty. The crowd surged forward, but Marcus held up his hand. Stay back, he commanded. We need tools. Someone bring bolt cutters or a knife. One of the Johnson twins ran, feet pounding the pavement. Sarah stepped through the doorway slowly, her legs feeling like wood. The inside of the house was dim, lit only by thin streams of light through cracks in the boarded windows. Everything was covered in dust and debris. But this wasn't ghost work. This was human evil. The woman's eyes found Sarah's face. Her gaze was cloudy, unfocused, but something in it held sharp clarity. Fear mixed with desperate hope. She forced words out, one syllable at a time, like climbing a mountain. Help me, she whispered. Then she swallowed, her voice cracking. I'm the only child of my father. Her eyes fluttered closed. Her head rolled to the side. Someone call 911. Sarah shouted, her voice breaking. Marcus knelt beside the woman, pressing 2 fingers to her neck. She's alive, he said, but his voice had changed. Less confident, more urgent. She's alive, but very weak. The Johnson twin returned with bolt cutters. Marcus took them carefully, turning them to avoid hurting her. He began cutting the ropes. They were tied so tight they had left deep red marks in her skin. As Marcus worked, the woman flinched, a small involuntary movement, like even unconsciousness couldn't protect her from more pain. Sarah's throat burned with rage and sorrow. The dog stood at the doorway, watching. Not entering, just watching. Its job was done. For now. Within minutes, Riverside transformed from a sleepy town into an emergency response zone. The ambulance arrived, lights flashing but sirens silent in respect for the early morning. Paramedics rushed in with equipment, moving with practiced efficiency. Sarah stood back, watching as they worked. They started in 4, checked vital signs, spoke in low, urgent tones to each other. Medical terms Sarah didn't fully understand but knew meant serious trouble. The woman was young, maybe mid-20s. Under the dirt and exhaustion, she had delicate features and dark hair. She looked like someone's daughter, someone's friend, someone who mattered. How long has she been here? One paramedic asked. We don't know, Marcus replied. The dog's been barking for 3 days. Could be longer. The paramedic's jaw tightened. 3 days without water? She's lucky to be alive. They lifted her onto a stretcher with extreme care, as if she might break. As they carried her out into the sunlight, the crowd parted in silence. The morning sun hit her face, and her skin looked gray beneath the grime. Her eyelids fluttered weakly. She's trying to wake up, a paramedic noted. They loaded her into the ambulance. Sarah found herself following, drawn by some invisible thread. Are you family? A paramedic asked. No, Sarah admitted. I found her. The paramedic nodded. County General Hospital. They'll have more resources there than our local clinic. The ambulance doors closed. The siren wailed to life, and the vehicle pulled away, leaving silence in its wake. Sarah stood in the middle of the street, feeling hollow. Her coffee was cold, forgotten on someone's porch. Her shift at the library started in 20 minutes, but that seemed absurdly unimportant now. Sarah, Mrs. Garcia said gently, touching her arm. Are you okay? Sarah nodded, though she wasn't sure it was true. I need to call Mrs. Patterson. Tell her I'll be late. I think she'll understand. The crowd began to disperse slowly, people returning to their homes with stunned expressions. They would talk about this for weeks, maybe years. But Sarah's attention was drawn back to the house. And to the dog. The golden retriever had returned to its spot in front of the building. It sat down like a guard refusing to abandon a post. Something about that bothered Sarah. Why would it stay? Why not follow the ambulance? Unless it sensed the danger wasn't over. Sarah walked closer. The dog watched her approach, but didn't bark. What else do you know? Sarah whispered. What aren't you telling us? The dog's ears twitched. It turned its head slightly, looking toward the back of the house. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She walked around the side of the building, her sneakers crunching on dry grass and fallen leaves. Marcus followed her. Sarah, what are you doing? He asked. I don't know, she admitted. Just looking. The back of the house was even more overgrown than the front. Bushes pressed against the walls. Tall grass reached up to her waist. The back door was boarded shut with rotting plywood. Then Sarah saw it. A footprint in the soft dirt near the back corner. Not old and weathered. Fresh. Clear. Made recently, maybe even this morning. Sarah's blood turned to ice. Marcus, she said quietly. Look. He crouched down, examining the print. His expression darkened. That's fresh. They followed the trail with their eyes. The footprints led to the bushes, then disappeared into thick undergrowth. Sarah stared at those bushes. And then she saw it, a slight movement. A branch shifted, just barely, like someone had pulled it aside to look through. Her breath caught. Deep in those bushes, something shifted again. Sarah wanted to scream but couldn't. Her voice was trapped. Her mind screamed one thought over and over. We're not alone. And then, barely audible, carried on the morning breeze, she heard it. A low, quiet laugh. Not loud enough for everyone to hear. Just loud enough for her. Sarah's knees nearly gave out. Marcus grabbed her arm. Did you hear that? She nodded, unable to speak. Whoever put that woman in the house was still here. Watching. Waiting. And they weren't done. Marcus pulled out his phone immediately. I'm calling the police. Now. As he dialed, Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out with shaking hands. A text message from an unknown number. You should have kept walking. Sarah's hands trembled so badly, she almost dropped the phone. The hunter had become the hunted. The Riverside Police Department was small, just 4 officers and a chief, but they responded like it was a major crime scene. Within 30 minutes, the old Miller house was surrounded by yellow tape. Officers combed through the property, taking photographs, collecting evidence, documenting everything. Detective Ray Chin, Mr. Chen's nephew who worked 2 towns over in the county sheriff's office, arrived to take lead on the investigation. He was in his late 30s, sharp-eyed and methodical. Sarah sat in the back of a police car, not under arrest, but giving a statement. She told them everything. The barking, the voice, the rescue. The footprints and the laugh. The threatening text message. Detective Chin examined her phone. We'll trace this number, he said. It's probably a burner, but we'll try. Who would do this? Sarah asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted the answer. That's what we're going to find out. Marcus stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the house like it might reveal its secrets if he stared hard enough. The dog sat beside him, calm now but alert. That dog saved her life, Marcus said to the detective. 3 days it tried to tell us. Detective Chin nodded. Animals know things we don't. An officer approached with an evidence bag. Inside was the rope that had bound the woman's hands. Tied by someone who knew what they were doing, the officer reported. Professional knots. Meant to hurt. Sarah felt sick. By noon, news spread through Riverside like wildfire. The local news picked it up. Reporters arrived, cameras in tow. The peaceful town that prided itself on being the safest place to raise a family was suddenly the center of a criminal investigation. Sarah's phone rang. The library. Mrs. Patterson. Sarah, dear, are you all right? The older woman's voice was uncharacteristically gentle. I saw the news. Don't worry about work. Take all the time you need. Thank you, Sarah managed. She hung up and noticed a text from her mother in Florida. Saw the news. Call me when you can. Love you. The story was everywhere. That evening, Sarah received a call from County General Hospital. A nurse named Linda. Ms. Miller? The patient you helped rescue is asking for you. Sarah's heart jumped. She's awake. Yes. Stable condition. She'd like to thank you in person. Sarah didn't hesitate. I'll be there in an hour. The hospital was 40 minutes away in the county seat. Sarah drove through evening traffic, her mind racing. The woman was awake. She could tell them who did this. Why they did it. Everything. The hospital smelled of disinfectant and floor polish. Sarah followed signs to the 3rd floor, room 312. A police officer stood outside the door. Sarah Miller? He confirmed, checking his notes. You can go in. Sarah pushed the door open slowly. The woman sat propped up in bed, and four in her arm, monitors beeping softly beside her. She looked different already, cleaner, more human, but her eyes still carried shadows that might never fully fade. When she saw Sarah, her face changed. A small, genuine smile appeared. You came, she said. Her voice was hoarse, but stronger than before. Of course, Sarah replied, stepping closer. The woman gestured to a chair. Please sit. Sarah sat, feeling awkward. How are you feeling? Like I came back from the dead, the woman said with dark honesty.
She paused.
I'm Emma Thompson. Sarah's eyes widened. Thompson? As in? Richard Thompson's daughter. Emma confirmed. Yes. Richard Thompson owned Thompson Industries, the largest employer in the county. Manufacturing, distribution, real estate. He was wealthy, powerful, and notoriously private. Your father must be. He doesn't know yet, Emma interrupted. I just woke up a few hours ago. I needed to tell you something first. To warn you. Sarah's stomach tightened. Warn me. Emma's hand trembled as she reached for her phone on the bedside table. The people who did this aren't going to stop. They're dangerous, connected, and they don't want this story told. Who are they? Emma's eyes filled with tears. His name is Derek Stone. He's the son of my father's business rival. He's been asking me out for months. I kept saying no. Sarah leaned forward. He did this because you rejected him. Not just him. He has people working for him. Men who don't ask questions. Emma's voice cracked. They took me at night, covered my mouth, tied me up, threw me in that house like garbage. Tears rolled down her cheeks. No food, no water, just darkness and fear. I thought I was going to die there. Sarah felt her own tears rising. I'm so sorry. Emma wiped her face. I need to call my father now. But Sarah, please be careful. Derek will find out you're the one who saved me. And he won't like that. Emma's hand shook as she dialed her father's number. Sarah started to stand, to give her privacy, but Emma gestured for her to stay. Dad, Emma said when the call connected. There was a pause. Then Sarah heard a man's voice on the other end, muffled but emotional. I'm alive, Emma continued, tears flowing freely now. I'm at County General Hospital. They found me. Another pause. Emma's shoulders shook. Yes, I'll explain everything. Please come. She looked at Sarah. There's someone I need you to meet. Her name is Sarah Miller. She saved my life. Emma ended the call and wiped her face. He's coming. He was in the city for business. He'll be here within the hour. I should probably go, Sarah said softly. No, Emma said firmly.
Please stay.
I need you here. So Sarah stayed. They talked quietly while they waited. Emma described the ordeal in fragments, pieces too painful to tell all at once. The moment she was grabbed, the terror of being tied up in darkness, the desperate hope that someone, anyone, would hear her. I prayed, Emma whispered. I'm not even religious, but I prayed. And then I heard barking. For 3 days, that dog barked. I thought I was hallucinating. Then I heard your voice. Sarah felt a lump in her throat. The dog deserves the credit. I just finally listened. 50 minutes later, the hospital hallway filled with the sound of rapid footsteps. The door burst open. Richard Thompson entered like a storm. 2 men in dark suits flanked him, clearly security. But the moment he saw Emma, the powerful businessman disappeared. He became just a father. He rushed to her bedside and pulled her into his arms. I've been looking everywhere, he said, his voice breaking. Everywhere. Emma held him tightly. I know, Dad. I know. They stayed like that for a long moment. Sarah felt like she was intruding on something private, but Emma had asked her to stay. Finally, Richard pulled back and looked at his daughter. His eyes were red, his face drawn with exhaustion and fear. Who did this? He asked. Derek Stone, Emma said quietly. Richard's expression changed instantly. Shock, then something darker. James Stone's son. Emma nodded. Richard stood up, his body rigid. I'll destroy him. I'll destroy the whole family.
Dad. No.
Richard's voice was hard as steel. No one does this to my daughter. Emma gestured toward Sarah. Dad, this is Sarah Miller. She's the one who found me. Richard turned, seeing Sarah for the first time. He walked over and extended his hand. His grip was firm. Thank you, he said simply. But the emotion behind those two words carried weight. I don't know how to repay you. Sarah shook her head. You don't need to. I just did what anyone would do. But most people didn't, Richard said. Most people walked past. He pulled out his wallet and extracted a business card. When you're ready, call me. Anything you need. Anything. Really, I'm fine. Please, Richard insisted, pressing the card into her hand. I mean it. Sarah took the card to be polite. Richard turned back to his daughter. I'm calling the police. Detective Chin needs to arrest Derek immediately. Already done, a voice said from the doorway. Detective Chin stood there, notebook in hand. We have a warrant out for Derek Stone. We're searching for him now. Richard's jaw tightened. Find him. We will, Detective Chin promised. He turned to Emma. When you're feeling up to it, I'll need a full statement. Emma nodded. Tomorrow? Tomorrow's fine. After Detective Chin left, Richard sat beside Emma's bed. He looked older suddenly, worn down by fear and relief. You're not going back to your apartment, he said. You're staying at the estate. Security. Cameras.
Guards.
Dad, I can't live in fear. Just until they catch him, Richard said. His voice softened. Please, Emma. Let me protect you. Emma sighed, but nodded. Richard looked at Sarah again. You should be careful, too. If Derek finds out you're the one who discovered Emma, he might see you as a threat. Sarah's stomach dropped. The text message flashed through her mind. You should have kept walking. I've already thought of that, Sarah admitted. I'll arrange security for you, Richard said immediately. I don't need. It's not negotiable, Richard interrupted gently. Consider it my thanks. Please. Sarah wanted to argue, but something in Richard's eyes stopped her. He'd already lost his daughter once. He wasn't taking any more chances. Okay, Sarah agreed quietly. Outside, night had fallen over the county. Somewhere in the darkness, Derek Stone was running, but the net was closing. Sarah returned home that night to find a black SUV parked outside her small house. Two men in suits stood by it, professional and alert. Security, courtesy of Richard Thompson. She'd lived in Riverside her whole life. She'd never needed security before. The thought was surreal. Inside, her house felt different. Smaller. More vulnerable. She locked every door, checked every window. Sleep didn't come easily. The next morning, news broke that Derek Stone had disappeared. No one had seen him since the day Emma was found. His apartment was empty, his car abandoned at the bus station. He's running, Detective Chin told reporters. But he won't get far. Sarah watched the news from her couch, coffee untouched. The story had exploded beyond Riverside. National news picked it up. Wealthy heiress held captive in abandoned house. Businessman's son wanted in kidnapping case. Her phone rang constantly. Reporters wanting interviews. Friends checking on her. Her mother calling every hour. By noon, Sarah couldn't take it anymore. She needed air. She needed to think. She drove back to Riverside, to the old Miller house. Police tape still surrounded it, but the officers had left. The house stood empty and exposed, its secret finally revealed. The dog was there, still sitting, still watching. Sarah parked and got out. The security detail followed at a respectful distance.
She walked up to the dog.
It looked at her with those same intelligent eyes. You knew, didn't you? Sarah said softly. You knew all along. The dog's tail wagged once. Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from Detective Chen. Need you to come to the station. We found something. 20 minutes later, Sarah sat in the detective's office. He spread photographs across his desk. We searched Derek Stone's apartment, Detective Chin explained. Found these hidden in a false drawer. Sarah looked at the photos and felt her blood run cold. Pictures of Emma.
Dozens of them.
Taken from a distance. Emma leaving her apartment. Emma at a coffee shop. Emma at work. Surveillance photos, stalking photos. But that wasn't the worst part. There were other women in the photos too. 3 other women Sarah didn't recognize. Who are they? Sarah asked, though she feared the answer. Detective Chen's expression was grave. We're trying to identify them. But Sarah, I need to tell you something. This might be bigger than we thought. He pulled out another photo. A document, photographed from Derek's apartment. It looked like a ledger, names and dates. We think Derek was part of a network, Detective Chin said quietly. A trafficking operation. Sarah felt dizzy. Trafficking. We're not sure yet. But the evidence suggests Derek didn't act alone. There are other names in this ledger. Other people involved. Sarah's hands trembled. Emma said Derek had people working for him.
Yes.
And we need to find them before they disappear too. That evening, Richard Thompson held a press conference. Standing beside him was Emma, looking fragile but determined. Sarah watched from her living room. My daughter was targeted, kidnapped, and left to die, Richard said, his voice controlled but furious. The person responsible is Derek Stone. But I believe he had help. I'm offering a $500,000 reward for information leading to his arrest and the arrest of his accomplices. The room exploded with questions. Emma stepped forward. I'm speaking today because silence protects predators. Derek Stone hurt me, but I won't let him hurt anyone else. If you know where he is, please come forward. Help us stop him. Sarah's phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Hello. Ms. Miller? A woman's voice, nervous. My name is Jennifer. I saw the news. I think I was targeted too. Sarah sat up straight. What do you mean? 6 months ago, a man approached me. Kept asking me out. I said no.
Things got weird. He followed me.
Showed up at my work. I filed a restraining order. Was his name Derek Stone?
No.
His name was Tyler Manning. But I saw him in one of the photos the news showed. He was with Derek Stone. Sarah's heart raced. You need to call Detective Chin immediately. I'm scared, Jennifer whispered. What if they come after me? They're going to be caught, Sarah said firmly. Call the detective. Please. Jennifer promised she would. After hanging up, Sarah realized something terrifying. This wasn't just about Derek. This was about a group of men who thought they could take women, hurt them, and get away with it. A network of predators hiding in plain sight. And they were still out there. Sarah looked at the dog, who had somehow followed her home and now lay by her door. We're not done yet, are we? She whispered. The dog's ears perked up. Alert. Ready. Jennifer's call to Detective Chin opened a floodgate. Within 24 hours, 3 more women came forward with similar stories.
Different men, same pattern.
Persistent pursuit, refusal, then escalation. Stalking.
Threats. Fear.
Detective Chun connected the dots. The men were linked. They knew each other. They shared information. They worked together. A network. Sarah sat in on one of the interviews, at Detective Chen's request. A young woman named Lisa, early 20s, sat across from them, hands wrapped around a coffee cup. He seemed nice at first, Lisa said quietly. Charming. But when I said I wasn't interested in dating him, he changed. He started showing up everywhere. My gym. My grocery store. Outside my apartment. What was his name? Detective Chin asked. Brandon Price. The detective wrote it down. Did he ever threaten you? Not directly. But he sent messages. Things like, you'll regret this, or you don't know what you're missing. Sarah felt sick. This was the same entitled rage that had led to Emma's kidnapping. Did you file a police report? Detective Chin asked. Lisa shook her head, ashamed. I didn't think anyone would believe me. He hadn't actually done anything illegal yet. You have no reason to feel ashamed, Sarah said gently. You did nothing wrong. Tears filled Lisa's eyes. When I saw what happened to Emma Thompson, I realized that could have been me. Detective Chun leaned forward. Lisa, thank you for coming forward. This helps us more than you know. After Lisa left, Detective Chun turned to Sarah. We're building a case against multiple suspects now. But we still haven't found Derek Stone. He's running scared, Sarah said. He knows it's over. Maybe. Or maybe he's planning something else. That thought chilled Sarah to her core. 2 days later, the news broke. Police had raided a warehouse on the outskirts of the county. Inside, they found evidence of a holding operation. Mattresses on the floor. Chains attached to walls. A refrigerator stocked with minimal food and water. A place designed to keep people. But the warehouse was empty. Whoever had been using it had cleared out recently. They knew we were coming, Detective Chin told Sarah during a phone call. Someone tipped them off. You think you have a leak? I think these people have connections.
Power.
Money. Sarah felt fear creeping up her spine. Are Emma and I safe? We're doing everything we can, Detective Chin promised. But stay alert. Stay with security. Don't go anywhere alone. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the warehouse, about the women who might have been held there, about the ones who might not have survived. At 2 a.m., her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Stop asking questions. Sarah's heart slammed. She called Detective Chen immediately. I'm sending patrol cars to your house right now, he said. Stay inside. Lock the doors.
Sarah did.
She sat in her living room with all the lights on, the dog at her feet. The security detail outside was alert, watching. 15 minutes later, police cars arrived, lights flashing. Detective Chin called her back. We traced the number. It's another burner phone. But we're taking this seriously. You're being targeted. Why me? Sarah asked, though she knew the answer. Because you're the one who started this. You found Emma. You made this public. They see you as a threat. Sarah took a shaky breath. I won't stop. I can't. I'm not asking you to, Detective Chin said. But I need you to be smart. These people are dangerous. The next morning, Richard Thompson called her. Sarah, I want you to move into the estate. With Emma, you'll be safer there. Mr. Thompson, I can't. Please, he interrupted. Emma asked for you specifically. She trusts you. And frankly, I'll sleep better knowing you're both protected. Sarah hesitated. Her little house in Riverside was her sanctuary. But it also felt exposed now. Vulnerable. Okay, she agreed. But just temporarily. Of course. That afternoon, Sarah packed a bag. As she loaded her car, she looked at her house one last time. The place she'd lived for 5 years. The place that had always felt safe. The dog jumped into the passenger seat, as if it had decided to appoint itself her permanent guardian. You're not going anywhere, are you? Sarah asked. The dog settled in, looking content. As Sarah drove toward the Thompson estate, she passed the old Miller house one last time. Empty now. Its secret revealed. But other secrets remained hidden. And somewhere out there, Derek Stone was still free. The Thompson estate sat on 50 acres of wooded land, surrounded by high walls and security gates. Sarah had driven past it countless times, but never imagined she'd be staying there. The main house was enormous, a modern mansion with glass walls and clean lines. Emma met her at the door, looking stronger than she had at the hospital. Thank you for coming, Emma said, hugging her. I feel safer with you here. Sarah hugged her back. We're in this together now. Richard Thompson's security team gave Sarah a full briefing. Cameras covered every angle. Guards patrolled in shifts. Panic buttons in every room. Motion sensors along the perimeter. We're taking this seriously, the head of security said. A former police officer named Tom Chin. No one gets in or out without our knowledge. Sarah nodded, but fear still sat heavy in her stomach. That evening, Sarah and Emma sat in the living room. The dog lay between them, alert even in rest. Do you think they'll come after us? Emma asked quietly. Sarah wanted to lie, to offer comfort. But Emma deserved honesty. I think they're scared, Sarah said. Scared people do desperate things. Emma nodded. I know. They sat in silence for a moment. Sarah, Emma said, "Why did you stop that morning?" Everyone else walked past.
Sarah thought about it.
I almost didn't. I almost kept walking. But something about the dog's bark felt different. Like it was asking me to trust it. And you did. And I did. Emma smiled sadly. Most people don't trust warnings. They ignore them until it's too late. Not anymore, Sarah said firmly. Not after this. The next morning, Detective Chen arrived with news. The police had located the warehouse Emma had mentioned. The place by the river where girls were taken. We're planning a raid tonight, Detective Chen said. Quietly. We can't risk them getting tipped off again. Richard leaned forward. I want to be there. Mr. Thompson, with respect. Those men took my daughter, Richard interrupted. I need to see this through. Detective Chen studied him, then nodded. You can observe, but from a distance. Sarah stood up. I'm coming too. Everyone turned to look at her. Sarah, this could be dangerous, Richard said. I know, Sarah replied. But if there are girls there, scared girls, they might trust me. A woman who survived this. They might trust Emma and me more than police officers. Detective Chun considered this. She has a point. Emma stood beside Sarah. I'm coming too. Absolutely not, Richard said immediately. Dad, I have to. Emma's voice was steady. I need to face this. I need to help. The room fell silent. Finally, Richard closed his eyes and nodded. That night, a convoy of unmarked vehicles moved quietly toward the river. Sarah sat in the back of one, Emma beside her, the dog at their feet. The warehouse loomed ahead, dark and silent. From the outside, it looked abandoned. But Detective Chen's intelligence said otherwise. The team moved into position. Sarah's heart pounded so hard she could hear it. Then Detective Chun gave the signal. Doors burst open. Lights flooded the warehouse. Shouts echoed. Police. Nobody move. Sarah waited, holding her breath. Emma gripped her hand. Then they heard it. A scream. Not of fear. Of relief. Help. We're here. Please help us. Sarah and Emma rushed in behind the officers. The warehouse was exactly as described. Mattresses on the floor.
Chains.
Minimal supplies. And 3 young women, huddled together, terrified and hopeful. When the girls saw Emma and Sarah, something in their faces changed. Not just rescue by police, but rescue by people who understood. You're safe, Emma said, kneeling beside them. We found you. You're safe now. One girl sobbed openly. They said no one would come. They said no one cares about girls like us. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. Someone always cares. We just have to listen. As police secured the scene, Sarah noticed something. The warehouse had been used recently. Very recently. Food containers were still warm. They were just here, she told Detective Chen. His face darkened. They knew we were coming. A chill ran through Sarah. The leak was real. Someone was still protecting the network. Outside, as they loaded the rescued girls into ambulances, Sarah saw it. A car parked across the street. Windows tinted. Engine running. Detective, Sarah said quietly, pointing. Before anyone could react, the car sped away. Inside that car, a phone call was made. They found the warehouse, a voice said. Then move to phase 2, another voice replied. It's time to send a message they can't ignore. The next morning, Riverside woke up to headlines. 3 women rescued from trafficking warehouse. Wealthy businessman linked to kidnapping ring. Network of predators exposed. The story was national now. International. Media trucks filled the streets. Reporters camped outside the Thompson estate. Sarah watched the news from the safety of the mansion. Every channel showed the same images. The warehouse. The old Miller house. Photos of Derek Stone and the powerful businessman whose name was now public, Marcus Webb. Not the fire chief, a different Marcus Webb, a real estate developer with political connections. He's denying everything, Emma said, watching her phone. His lawyers are already working. Of course they are, Richard said grimly. Men like him always have an exit strategy. But Sarah noticed something. The public wasn't buying the denials. Social media exploded with support for the victims. Women shared their own stories of harassment, stalking, assault. The silence was breaking everywhere. "This is bigger than we thought," Sarah said quietly. Detective Chin arrived that afternoon with grave news. "We arrested 5 men this morning, all connected to the network. But there's something you need to know." He spread photos on the table. Sarah recognized some faces. The truck driver. Men from surveillance footage. But there were new faces too. "How deep does this go?" Richard asked. "Deep enough that we're involving federal authorities," Detective Chin replied. "This isn't just Riverside. This network spans multiple states." Sarah felt dizzy. What started with a barking dog had uncovered something massive. "Are we in danger?" Emma asked. Detective Chun hesitated. "I'm not going to lie to you. These people are desperate. But we're watching. And the publicity is actually protecting you. Too many eyes watching now." That should have been comforting. It wasn't. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She wandered the mansion, the dog following her. She ended up in Richard's study, looking at the documents spread across his desk. Maps. Financial records. Photos. Richard had been conducting his own investigation. "Can't sleep either?" Richard's voice came from the doorway. Sarah turned. "How did you compile all this?" "I have resources," Richard said simply. "And when someone hurts your child, you use every single one of them." He walked to the desk and picked up a photo. Marcus Webb shaking hands with a politician. "These men thought they were untouchable," Richard said. "They thought money and connections made them invincible." "What changed?" Sarah asked. Richard looked at her.
You.
"You listened when everyone else walked away. You broke their most powerful weapon." "What weapon?" "Silence." The next morning brought a development no one expected. Jennifer, the woman who had first called Sarah, held a press conference. She stood with Lisa and 3 other women, all sharing their stories of being targeted by men in the network. "We were told to be quiet," Jennifer said, voice shaking but determined. "We were told no one would believe us. We were told we'd ruin our own lives if we spoke up." She paused, tears streaming down her face. "But Emma Thompson's courage gave us courage. Sarah Miller's choice to listen gave us hope. We're not staying quiet anymore." Sarah watched from the mansion, crying openly. Emma held her hand. "Look what you started," Emma whispered. "We started it together," Sarah replied. But not everyone was celebrating. That afternoon, Sarah received a package. No return address. The security team x-rayed it first before letting her open it. Inside was a single photograph. Sarah's house in Riverside.
Her car in the driveway.
The image was recent, taken within the last few days. No note. No message. The meaning was clear. "We know where you live." Sarah's hands trembled. The dog growled low, sensing her fear. "That's it," Richard said when he saw the photo. "You're not going back to that house. It's not safe." "I can't hide forever," Sarah protested. "You're not hiding," Richard said firmly. "You're being smart. Let the police finish this. Let the courts handle it." That night, another woman came forward. Then another. By the end of the week, 12 women had shared their stories. The network was collapsing. Arrests continued. Assets were frozen. The powerful men who thought they were untouchable watched their empires crumble. But in a dark office across town, Marcus Webb sat with his lawyer. "How do we stop this?" Marcus asked. The lawyer leaned back. "We can't stop the truth, but we can discredit the messengers."
How?
Sarah Miller. "She's not wealthy, not connected. Dig into her past.
Find something.
Anything. Make her the villain." Marcus smiled for the first time in days. "Do it." Outside the Thompson estate, the dog barked once.
Sharp.
Urgent. Sarah looked out the window. The street was empty, but the dog knew. The final battle was about to begin. The smear campaign started subtly. Anonymous online posts questioning Sarah's motives. She just wants money from the Thompson family. She's using these girls for attention. Who is Sarah Miller really? Sarah saw the posts and felt sick. Emma was furious. This is classic victim blaming, Emma said. They're trying to turn the narrative. Detective Chun confirmed it. Marcus Webb's team is behind this. They're desperate. But they underestimated something. The women who had come forward refused to be silent.
Jennifer organized them.
Within hours, they released a joint statement defending Sarah. Sarah Miller didn't save Emma Thompson for fame or money. She saved her because she listened, because she cared, because she chose courage over comfort. The statement went viral. Public opinion swung back hard. The attacks on Sarah backfired spectacularly. Marcus Webb's lawyer called Richard Thompson with a proposal. Our client is willing to settle. Quietly, generously. Richard's response was ice cold. Tell your client to prepare for prison. The trial date was set. Media coverage intensified. But Sarah noticed something troubling. The dog had become restless again. Pacing. Barking at shadows. Refusing to settle. He knows something, Sarah told Emma. Something's still wrong. That night, Tom Chun, the head of security, discovered it. A small drone had been flying over the estate, mapping the property, looking for weaknesses. They're planning something, Tom said. I don't know what, but they're not done. Richard immediately increased security. But Sarah felt the walls closing in. Living in fear, hiding behind guards. This wasn't living. The next morning, Sarah made a decision. I'm going to testify, she announced. Everyone stared at her. Sarah, you don't have to, Detective Chin said. We have enough evidence without you. But I want to, Sarah said firmly. I want to look Marcus Webb in the eye and tell him that his silence failed. That we heard them. That we listened. Emma stood beside her. I'll testify too. Richard looked at his daughter with pride and fear. Then we do this together. As a family. The trial began 3 weeks later. The courtroom was packed. Media. Supporters. Victims. The weight of justice hung heavy in the air. Sarah took the stand first. She told her story simply, honestly. The barking dog. The faint voice. The choice to stop and listen. Why did you stop? The prosecutor asked. When everyone else walked past. Sarah thought about it. Because the dog trusted me to understand. And I chose to trust that something was wrong. When Marcus Webb's lawyer cross-examined her, he tried to shake her story. Isn't it true you were looking for attention, Ms. Miller? No, Sarah said calmly. I was looking for someone who needed help. Isn't it convenient that you befriended a wealthy family? Sarah met his eyes. What's convenient is that Emma Thompson is alive. What's convenient is that 12 other women are safe now. What's convenient is that your client's network is destroyed. The courtroom erupted in applause. The judge banged his gavel, but even he looked approving. Emma's testimony was powerful. She described her ordeal without flinching. When she identified Marcus Webb as the voice on the phone, giving orders to her kidnappers, the courtroom went silent. The evidence was overwhelming. Financial records, phone logs, testimony from the arrested accomplices who had taken plea deals. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty. On all counts. Marcus Webb showed no emotion as the verdict was read. But Sarah saw something in his eyes. The realization that he'd lost. Outside the courthouse, Sarah, Emma, and Richard faced a sea of cameras. What message do you want to send? A reporter asked. Sarah thought about the dog. About the barking that saved a life. About the choice she'd made that morning. Listen, she said simply. When someone is crying for help, when something seems wrong, when your instincts tell you to pay attention, listen. Silence protects predators, but listening saves lives. Emma added, and to anyone who's ever been told to stay quiet, to anyone who's been dismissed or ignored, your voice matters. Keep speaking. Someone is listening. 6 months later, Sarah stood on the empty lot where the old Miller house once stood. The town had decided to build a community center there, a place of healing where there had been pain. The dog sat beside her, older now, calmer, but still alert. You did good, Sarah whispered to him. You saved her. The dog wagged his tail. Emma joined them, walking slowly but steadily. She'd started a foundation for trafficking victims. Her father funded it fully. They'd already helped dozens of women rebuild their lives. I'm thinking of calling it the Listening Foundation, Emma said. Sarah smiled. Perfect. As they walked away, Sarah looked back once more. The lot was empty now, but it wouldn't be for long. Soon it would be filled with light and laughter and hope. The dog barked once. Not desperate. Not afraid. Just present. Sarah had learned something that morning months ago when she chose to stop. The most important warnings don't always come in human voices. Sometimes they come in the bark of a stray dog, in the whisper of someone invisible, in the gut feeling that something is wrong. The question is, will we listen? Sarah had listened. Emma had survived. And together, they'd help dozens more. Because in the end, listening isn't just about hearing. It's about caring enough to act. Thank you for watching this incredible journey. If this story touched you, please subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories. Like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Comment below. What warning signs have you noticed that others missed? Your story could save a life. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next upload. Remember, when someone needs help, the bravest thing you can do is listen. See you in the next story.